Welcome in, everybody. We are back here on the Alternative Edge. I'm your host, Tony Jigsaw Cotillo, and it's been a couple weeks. Took a little bit of a break, okay, but needed some mental relaxation. Okay, we can only do so much for so long, and then eventually just kind of need a break. Take a step back, look at everything, and say, you know what? Time to look and reflect what I've done going forward, what we're going to do next. And right now, I'm excited to be back. We're going to talk, as always, DFS prop bets, the up and down, the correlation. You're not going to hear names like Devontae Adams on this show, but you will hear names like a Taylor Heineke or maybe a certain tight end who plays in Indianapolis. But we're going to break it all down tonight. Prop bets, DFS values, all right here, right now, on a Friday night edition of the Alternative Edge. And as always, you see, we are sponsored 100%, not to sponsor, powered. The show right here is live on the Sharp app. If you don't have it, you need to get it. All the information is right there. There are people hitting bets every single day. I'll be honest with you, I am more in the prop bet scene and the DFS market, but I can tell you right now that there are some primetime players in that Discord, in that app that you need to check. I mean, look, we got guys like David Meltzer. We got guys like Anthony Gargano. I mean, big time players in John Stational. John Stational. Okay, what is a tongue twister? But my man Stats is on point every single day with the free bet of the day. Check him out for sure. And everybody else, you see all the information down there. Download that, you get your free month, you get the app. Dude, we just did an update. Everything in one specific area. Everything right there for you. So tonight, we're going to break down some very interesting picks, okay? And I like to take certain things out. And Dante, what's up, Dante? It's been a while, buddy. It's been a while. Had to take a little break. Couple weeks, reflect, right? But we're back, and we're going to start breaking down this tonight, and we're going to have some fun with this and see where we go. First name off the docket, we're going to go on a negative area, okay? And we're going to bring up Patrick Mahomes. Now, the Kansas City offense has definitely not been the same. I'm not sure what's missing. I don't, sometimes this happens. We've seen this in Philadelphia with Andy Reid. We've seen him kind of try to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, and things just not happening. They've tried to establish a running game. Looked like CEH was finally coming back into form. Then he goes down, and now you're worried about the Williams and the McKinnon connection, who I still think McKinnon will be the guy going forward eventually because of these types of injuries. But it has to do with Patrick Mahomes is just not the guy. Listen, he has 6 interceptions in his last 4 games. And 2 of those games, he has double picks. That is unlike Patrick Mahomes. Right now, sitting at 6 interceptions for the year. That's unheard of, right? That's unheard of. That's not supposed to happen, okay? That's not supposed to happen. So when we look at this and from a prop bet standpoint, now, in the DFS market, he's plus 300. He was 7,700 last week. He goes up to 8,000 this week. Okay. Plus 300 again. Against the Washington football team, a defense who we thought was going to be a lot better than they are right now is playing in Washington. And based on what he has done, the over, okay, of 0.5 interceptions, which means he's absolutely going to throw 1, in my opinion. That's a number, and I'm going to put this in here. I forgot to put this in here. Let me put this in here for everybody because it's a plus bet. Okay, let me put this in there. Everybody has it. So we're at plus 100 for Patrick Mahomes to throw a pick, and I think that's a great way to look. Dante, people think Dante, people are crazy, right? People are absolutely they're asinine. Okay, all of a sudden Patrick Mahomes is washed, right? People want to, they really want to create their own narratives. They want to get their own clicks. They want to get their own exposure by saying some off the wall bullshit that doesn't even matter, right? We all already know. Listen, sometimes people have a down year, but a down year for Patrick Mahomes. Like, what is a down year for Patrick Mahomes? And that's what we have to look at, right? He sits at 16-6, right? It's not like the guy's averaging 270 plus per game. Okay, he's still throwing the ball 40 plus times. He has almost 1,500 yards and 16 for 6. So if that's a down year, there's guys that don't even throw 16 touchdowns in an entire frigging year. And this guy's honestly, okay, you're going to have guys this year that are going to wind up with 21, 22 touchdowns. This guy's already got 75% of that full total in 5 weeks. Okay, so for those people, Dante, you know as well as I do, they're a bunch of morons. Okay, he's not washed. We all know that. Listen, the kid's just going through it's peaks and valleys, man. It's peaks and valleys. But from a betting standpoint, I have to look at this and say, you know what? I think we can get some positive money here, okay, at plus 100 on a 0.5 interceptions. Because if you look at his pay, like I said, if it's past 4 games, he's thrown at least 2. So again, all right, he's actually thrown 6 and 4, but the last 4 in 2 games, he's thrown at least 2. So it's something I think you have to be very wary of. And it's something that, unfortunately, I don't think is going to go away anytime soon. So, again, Adam checking in. What's up? I'm at the, oh, nice. Adam with Nicky Nuts for Flyer and Ice connection. Listen, I love it, man. For all you people listening, we have our own Heat Ratio Sports when we talk about, we have some betting talk on air. Mark Drumheller, you'll see on this network for Betting for Breakfast, and Dave Glockner. They also do a Philly bet segment, just talking about Philly sports and betting, part of Heat Ratio Sports. And then you have Flyer and Ice. The guys do a fantastic job. And here we are. Adam, my man Adam, always following, checking in, and again, hit with Nicky Nuts at the game. I love it. Can't wait to hear about it. My man Al, my half-core Heat brother, checking in. Half-core Heat premieres 10-17 Sunday night, talking about Ben Simmons Sixers. We'll get into that another day, but tune in Heat Ratio Sports on Sunday and check that out. Now, Dante says to come back to Mahomes, not everyone is going to be the MVP from all the time. And defenses adjust. They have 4 years of tape on him now. He is exactly. Dante, completely agree. 100%. You can't be an MVP every year. Everybody can't be Tom Brady, right? Simple as that. Everybody can't be Tom Brady. So that's why, that's what I'm talking about. Patrick Mahomes. Check it out. Plus, again, plus 100 to throw a pick. I really like that take. Now, here's it. We'll go another quarterback. And again, I told you you're going to see names that you may not think of. And my man, Taylor Heineke. Who would have thought Taylor Heineke would have been a thing? Who would have thought he would have been a thing for the Washington football team? Everybody thought when Fitzpatrick went down, what are they going to do? They're going to go out and get Cam Newton. Rivera right away is going to go out and get this guy. He said, no. Listen, my guy is TH. It's not Cam. And I'll tell you what, Taylor Heineke, again, now, last game, a little shaky, right? I get it, right? And that was a weird game. The thing I'm looking at, though, is he's thrown the ball a lot, more than I thought he was going to. I thought Rivera was going to be more of a run-heavy style of offense, and he's letting Taylor Heineke kind of just ball out. And he's not doing terrible, okay? He's not doing terrible. So what I'm looking at is his DFS value, 5,800. He actually dropped 100. That's because he had a big game, only 12 points on fantasy. Listen, he only had 47.6 rating. When we talk about a quarterback level through 2 picks, I get it. Wasn't that great, but that's okay. That's okay. You know why? Because he faced the Kansas City defense that probably couldn't stop me or you, Dante. And that's the problem. So, for Kansas City, not a problem for us because we're going to go all in on Taylor Heineke. Now, here's what I like about Taylor Heineke. And again, these are the numbers I'm looking at. The pass rush over for 287.5 at minus 115, I think is where you want to go. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Simple fact. Because if you look at Taylor Heineke with his rush yards the last 2 weeks, he's 40 plus. 40 plus on the rush yards. Okay, so right off the bat, give me that 35 or 40, take that off to 287, and what are we looking at? 237. That means he only has to hit 237 yards passing. Okay, and I'll tell you what, 3 out of the last 4, he's been above 248. Okay, week 3 against Buffalo, it was 212, only 20 points off that mark. So I think it's very easy for him to get 237. We'll stick it at 240. I think he throws for 250, 260, and then he gets those 35, 40 yards rushing, and boom, you're already at 300, which is above the 287.5. So I say go all in against a defense that is susceptible to scoring at minus 115. So again, Taylor Heineke, 5,800 last week on DFS, drops 100. So there's your correlation. They're saying, you know what? He had a bad game, but they only dropped him 100. So that's what you have to look at. That number means they're not expecting him to drop even more. They're giving you that little leeway, couple hundred here or there, up or back. And they say, you know what? I still think he's going to be okay, going to have a decent game, but just in case, we're going to cover ourselves with that minus 100. So pass plus rush for me, 27.5. That is where you want to go. Now let's talk about my man, Austin Ekeler. Got to talk about my man, Austin Ekeler, man. Listen, dude, Taylor is not playing. Yes, he's not playing bad. He had one bad game with Dante, one bad game Taylor Heineke did. But I'll tell you what, I like his poise. I like his leadership. I like what he's been able to do on the field of play. And listen, he has all the trust in the world of Ron Rivera. So that's a big deal, right? That's a big deal. When you have the trust of your head coach and your team, you are good to go. So yes, so that's why I like that prop on Taylor Heineke this week. Spitz checking in. What's my man Ace checking in? What's up, man? What props did I miss? Right now, listen, this is all we got. We just started. We're going to go a half hour. Got about 20 minutes left. Okay, this is what I'm looking at. Patrick Mahomes, okay, for throw at least one pick, which is over to 0.5 for plus 100. I really like that play. And then we're going Taylor Heineke, pass plus rush over 287.5 at minus 115. I think that is a lock. I really do. I think it's not my lock of the week, but I think it is a lock. So let's go Austin Ekeler, who I love. I love me some Austin Ekeler. And I'll tell you what, you talk about a guy who is a battle ram, okay? This dude, he doesn't get tackled. I mean, you look at him out there, you know who he reminds you of, and I don't know if anybody's noticed reference, but I think it's pretty hilarious because I honestly, I'm not ripping on the dude because I love Austin Ekeler. I love that he has a show at Liloza on Yahoo Fantasy Sports. I absolutely love it. He's actually talking about it as the year is going on, talking about fantasy. Who would have ever freaking thought we would be at that mode? But here's what I love. Everybody remember the movie with Rick Moranis and Ed O'Neill for the Little Giants? And remember the dude, I forget his name, little kid with the little glasses, and they threw the pads on him, and he was like this. He was walking around. Dude, if you look at Austin Ekeler with a helmet on, dude, he looks like the dude from Little Giants, man. He really does. But I'll tell you what, he obviously much better than dude for Little Giants, okay? Because this dude can ball, okay? So Austin Ekeler is fine. Listen, I told everybody this was a top 5 back. This could be a top 3 back this year in fantasy. Austin Ekeler is absolutely tearing it up, okay? He is tearing it up. And again, everybody thought, oh, the first 2 weeks, I told you he hurt his hammy the first week. He's not playing. Guess what? He is going up in points every single week. Every single week. 11, 22.5, 22.7, 32.5, 33.9, and this could be a 40-point fantasy week for Austin Ekeler. Now he's at 7,900. Okay, goes up 300 from last week, which means they expect him after watching that Baltimore fiasco, even though they came back and won, how many yards they gave up. They're looking at that and they're saying Austin Ekeler, Justin Herbert, that connection. Okay, they are just absolutely ripping it up in the NFL right now. So I am all in. They tore apart a top 5 defense in Cleveland last week. They absolutely obliterated them. Okay, and Austin Ekeler, here's what I want you to look about Austin Ekeler. Okay, 5 yards per carry. That is something that we're not used to seeing from Austin Ekeler. We knew he was going to be a target machine, and he is. He's getting 5+ targets in every single game. We already knew that, but we didn't expect him to get the rushing yards. And this year, he's getting those 50+ every game because he's averaging 5 yards per carry. And he's actually getting 32 attempts over the last 2 games, so his attempts are going up. So finally, we don't have this Joshua Jackson experiment anymore. We don't have it. Okay, Anthony Lynn is not here anymore. Okay, finally, Austin Ekeler is that guy. So here's what I want to look at. He has 50 receiving yards, 50+ in 3 or 4 games. But he has 50 rushing yards, okay? 50+ rushing yards every single game this year. 50+. Now, I know 57, 54, 55, 117, which was a big game against Vegas, and then 66. His over in receptions is 47.5. So the reason why I'm back to receptions is because you have to look at what he's done the last 2 games. You have to look at what he's done. He is very, very consistent. Very, very consistent. 3 out of the last 4, he averaged 50 plus. Okay, you take away that one game against Vegas when he only had 28 yards, but he rushed for 117. So he gave you the rushing yards. That's not going to happen. He's going to get you the 50 plus rushing yards, but this guy at 5 plus targets is always going to get you the receiving yards. So for me at 47.5, that is the number you want to go by. That's the prop number we're looking at right off the bat. Minus 115, lock it in and throw it on your slip. Now, let's go Jonathan Taylor. I love Jonathan Taylor. Another guy who, in my opinion, is a lot better than people give him credit for. I heard a lot of talking the all season. Soon as everything happened, everybody kept dropping him. What's going to go on with Jonathan Taylor? I'll tell you what, have you watched Jonathan Taylor? Have you watched him? And that's the thing about this, guys. What I will tell you is, I'm going to be 100% honest with you when I say this. A lot of these picks aren't just me looking at analytics. I like to watch the games. I like to watch the film. You know, I have the package for the NFL Network where I can watch every single game in under 59 minutes. Okay, I love watching that. I decipher these guys and I dissect what they do. I like to see the kind of run play ratio that they're calling when it comes to the offensive scheme. I like to see how these guys are moving and, you know, what their mobility is, how many tackles are breaking, what kind of, are they going north to south, they going east to west? Do they have the ability? Because that's important, because when you look at that game film, and then you look at the numbers, you look at the other team, say, okay, they have quick linebackers on the outside. Weak side linebacker is really good. He likes to spy a lot. The wheel route's probably not going to be there. The screen game may be more relevant because the defensive line is slow and they can't get into position. So, again, get knocked off the ball between the trenches with the offensive line. So, there's a lot of things you have to look at. Jonathan Taylor, only thing you need to look at for him is he's showing you why he finished those last 5 or 6 games last year as an absolute beast, okay? I understand he started off slow. First couple weeks, listen, it's a new quarterback in Carson Wentz. It's a new system, right? There's all these, you know, and what I mean by that, by new system, is it's a new guy under center, okay? So you have to get used to different, I wouldn't say intangibles, but different, you know, different patterns of play, let's say. You know, a different cadence. Right. You know, you have to get a feel for that relationship. And it took a few games, but now you're seeing it. The one thing that never stopped was the ability to get the attempts. He's giving you at least 15 attempts per game. That's what he's doing. Now, last 3 weeks, that's what I'll look at, because he's been getting the rush yards. Okay, he's 50 above. That's where you want. But he's really starting to get more heavily involved in the passing game, which I think is pretty interesting, because last week he took one to the house. Obviously, on a 76-yard screenplay, which was fantastic. That's not going to happen every week. So if you take away that 76, he only gave you 40 yards receiving. But here's the thing: he's getting 3 and 4 targets over the last couple games, which is a lot. You know, taken because you have Nyheim Hines. So it's a lot knowing you're taking some from Hines away, which means they want this kid to be the bell cow. That's what that means, right? They want him to be the bell cow. So he's only, again, minus 100. 6,600 playing against a Houston Texas team. Listen, man, I know they're trying. The defense isn't good. I'll tell you what, as a Philly guy, I have to watch, you know, Kamir Grugier-Hill just killing it out there. I love to see him play well. I wish he was still here in Philadelphia, but he's not. But that's a story for a different day. But I'm looking at the longest rush for Jonathan Taylor. Over 17.5, minus 120. And I'll tell you why. Okay, the last 3 weeks, okay, when we talk about longest rush for Jonathan Taylor, okay, we're talking 19, 38, 23. He's hit that number 3 times already. He's hit the number 3 times already. And the 2 times he didn't hit it were at 12 and 13. And again, the first 2 games of the year. Ever since those first 2 games of the year, he's been above 19. And again, this is a Houston team that doesn't cover very well. Okay, they don't have a great defense. They do, listen, they do play hard. They do the best they can, just like Detroit. But again, talent prevails at the end of the day, and they just don't have enough. So again, when we look at this bet, the prop market, I look at minus 100 from the DFS market, saying they expect him to still do well maybe a little bit of dry. It's kind of just like a COA, cover your ass, or CYA, it's cover your own ass. That's what they're doing by the -100, in my opinion, which means he's still going to ball out against the Houston Texans. And based on the fact that their linebackers, besides Grugier Hill, who's not a coverage guy, he's an up in your face kind of guy. He's been doing really good in the run game. I don't think they have anybody to cover Jonathan Taylor out in the flat. Okay, I really don't. They don't have anything anywhere to cover him out in the flat. They don't. Will he get the huge receiving yards? No, I don't think. Again, that was 1 week last week. But when we're talking about longest rush, like I said, he's getting 50 yards per game. 50 yards per game. So if you look at the longest rush, the last three, 23, 38, 19, he's been above them every three. So lock it in, Jonathan Taylor, over 17 and a half for the longest rush. So let's go to the receiving market and let's see what we got going over there. Again, don't forget to go download the Sharp app, man. I don't want to keep you got look, it's all right here. Again, it is fantastic. Everything in the palm of your hands, everything in one spot, one-stop shop. That's what it is. One-stop shop. A lot of big things happening, consistent updates. They just had a big update to throw, different backgrounds on there, different games, different numbers. Check it out. Really awesome. Again, if you check it out, download, you get the first month free. Go to the sharpbets.app. Get your reference code right there, 395, or use the coupon code HEAT, and they'll know that Jigsaw sent you. Okay, now let's go to the receivers, and I'm going to go right to Cincinnati, and I'm going to go right to Jamar Chase. Now, I'm going to pat myself on the back for a minute. And I know you people know that I like to do that, but that's okay. And you have to do that because when people tell you you're wrong so much, you eventually have to pat yourself on the back. And I said in the offseason, who was going to be the number one receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, and that was going to be Jamar Chase. And it is Jamar Chase. There's no reason why you shouldn't believe that the relationship between Burrow and Chase was not going to be electric. They are two long lost friends, separated for a year, coming back together and stepping right back into prime time. Now, the one thing I will say about Jamar Chase, he was kind of touchdown dependent for the first 3 weeks, right? Only getting 2, 3, 4, 5 targets, but now he's getting 6+ the last 2 games. He's really starting, receptions. I'm sorry. He was always getting the targets. He only had 2, 3, 4 receptions off of his target share. Now he's getting that 9 and 10 target level. 19 targets, 12 catches of those 19 targets, a really good conversion rate. And he's still, again, he's averaging. Here's what the key is. He's averaging 22 yards per catch. That's a big average for Jamar Chase. Now, I talked about the last 2 games and 19 targets and 12 receptions, 6 per game. His reception number of over 5.5, okay, at +100 is definitely the way to go. And you look at the DFS market and you see that Jamar Chase is 6,700. It's +700 from last week. They gave him a $700 raise. You know why? Because they expect him to go off. So you best believe that he's going to hit that receptions over number at 5.5, especially because he has 19 targets in the last 2 games, especially because they're playing Detroit, who, even though they play hard, they still don't have Akuda. They still don't have the talent that they need to compete with a receiver like Jamar Chase. Okay, and it's a +$100 bet. So you're going to make money. So you got to do it. For over 5.5, he's going to get 7, 8 catches this game, 100 yards, touchdown. Lock it in. The bet's over. Easy play. Like I said, look at the DFS number at +700. That it means they expect him to go off. Now, how about a different receiver coming out of Denver? I love this play. I love it. Dante, who said you were wrong? Listen, Dante. I can't even tell you, man. Like I had a take on Hunter Renfrow in the preseason. I said Hunter Renfrow is going to be the number 1 option on the Las Vegas Raiders this year. He's going to be the guy they look to every single game. And I got, did you forget Darren Waller? No, I didn't forget Darren Waller. He's a tight end, not a receiver. The number 1 receiving option for Vegas was going to be Hunter Renfrow. Guess what? Who's that number one receiver for Vegas right now? It is Hunter Renfrow. Oh, my man Rick checking in, thinking the Lions will cover, though. Listen, Rick, I don't disagree with you. But again, I tell you what, that's your thing, man. I can only talk to what I know. And I don't bet on games. I do props. So, but I bet you my man Mark Drumheller from Betting for Breakfast, he would absolutely agree with you that the Lions will cover because, again, listen, a Lions got to win eventually. And I know covering doesn't mean win the game, but I'm just talking about, they've had a lot of hard luck. They really have. So eventually, yes, I'm pretty sure they probably would cover. But I think they're going to win a game eventually too. But that doesn't mean that we can't get our prop bet of over 5.5. That's for damn sure. So let's, again, I want to look at this. I love the Tim Patrick number. Okay. I love the Tim Patrick number. And 5,100, he's up 400, which means they expect him to do even better, at least maintain, and possibly do better against Vegas. And Tim Patrick, once the injury happened to KJ Hamler, everybody wanted to know who was going to step up, right? Well, first was Jerry Jeudy. Okay, so obviously it was easy to say it was going to be Courtland Sutton. And then you see KJ Hamler go down and you're thinking, okay, who's going to step up now? And Tim Patrick has always been a silent assassin, right? Always been a silent assassin. He's been a guy who's kind of been overlooked, in my opinion. He really has. And I liked him. I like his size. He runs good routes. Okay, he breaks a lot of tackles. Listen, he is very consistent. And if you look at his numbers, he is going up in targets every single week. 4, 5, 6, 9. That's what you get to look at. 2 out of 3 games is 89 plus yards. Targets, like I said, are up 16 in the last 2 games. So I'm going to go all out on Tim Patrick because there's a lot of turmoil going on in Vegas. We don't even know who the coach is going to be. We don't even know who's going to be leading those Raiders out there. So right now, you already seen a different team last week when we talk about the Las Vegas Raiders. They might as well go back to Oakland and try to reinvent themselves right now. But my point is they're going to Mile High, playing in the air. Bridgewater looked good. He looks healthy. He's okay. He can play. And Tim Patrick's going to have a nice day, y'all. He's going to have a nice day. And the reason why he's going to have a nice day is look at these numbers. I mean, you're going to double prop bet right here. Receiving yards over 50.5. Like I told you, 2 out of his last 3 games, he's 89 plus. That's half of what he's giving you. Absolutely, he's going to get 50.5. And then we talk about receptions. If you look at his reception numbers over the last few games, again, here's where it gets interesting, right? Because if you take his last 3, 5, 3, 7. So you look at that number, you go, okay, 4.5. Listen, there's a reason why these guys do what they do. And they're so good at doing what they do, right? Okay, so you look at the number, and it's very inconsistent. I look at the targets. I don't look at the receptions. And I look at a target number, and his share is going up every single week, which means he's going to be more susceptible to garner more catches. So if that number continues to go up, I firmly believe at over 4.5, especially for a plus 105, a plus money bet, I think it's something you got to take. Okay, so again, Tim Patrick, I like him DFS-wise, but again, looking at the number, that's why we're on the alternative edge here, where we're taking that DFS number and saying, what does it tell us? Plus 400 to me says he is going to ball out. That's what the number says to me. They expect it. I firmly believe it, and I think those 2 numbers are too low for me to pass up. My man Jovan checking in. Jovan, it's the man, the myth, the legend. Listen, Jovan, you're too kind, man. Too kind. No, maybe a myth, right? Maybe a myth. But yeah, take a couple weeks off. I'm back, full energy, man. Loving it. Watching you, man. I know you know it. Listen. One thing Javon knows is how much time this craft takes, and I'm sure he needs a mental break every now and then too. So he'll probably understands why I need to go away for a couple weeks and then come back. You kind of got to recharge, man. It's what it's all about. But we're good. We're back, and we're ready to roll. So here's going to be a lock of the week. We're almost done. 30 minutes. I want to stick to 30 minutes. We're 29 minutes. And again, what's the odds that my lock of the week could be a tight end? Could my lock of the week be a tight end? Yeah, it is. A lock of the week is a tight end. My man, Ally Cox, from the Indianapolis Colts. I hate to say catching them bombs from Carson Wentz, but one thing you know if you're from Philadelphia and if you follow the Eagles over the last 4 or 5 years, Carson Wentz loves the tight end. I mean, Jesus Christ, he passed to Zach Ertz over 100 freaking times, okay, because he loved throwing to the tight end in one season, right? And every single year he loved dumping off to the tight end. Now you're starting to see it in Indianapolis. And Ally Cox is the kind of guy that Carson Wentz will gravitate towards. He's a big body receiver. He's always going to get open, okay, because he can force separation. And you see, just like the Jonathan Taylor perspective I gave you guys, the first 2 or 3 weeks, everybody's getting used to the new system. And what I mean by that is a new system of Carson Wentz. What does he do? What are his his frequencies, and what does he do as a quarterback when it comes to cadence and his vision and what he likes, what kind of ball does he like to throw, the speed of the pass, the accuracy, the lift, everything comes into play. And I think you have to look at that. You look at Ally Cox's numbers, he was only targeted 2 times over the first 3 games. 2. Didn't even have a catch in the first week. Okay, but every single week he's gone up. But you look at the last 2 weeks, like I told you, I look at targets. The last 2 weeks, he has 9 targets in 2 weeks, giving you 40+ yards per game. This man is getting ready. He's getting ready to ball out. 2,500 in week 4, 3,000 last week, up another 100 this week, which again, it's a CYA number because just in case he falls below, they're like, you know what? We only bumped them up 100, but I'm telling you right now, against this Houston team, there is nobody at the linebacker position that is going to be able to bump and run with Ally Cox. He is going to control the middle of the field, and receiving yards over 19.5 is such a lock. It's a given. Okay, it's a reason why it's minus 115. It's not minus 100. It's not minus 105. It's minus 115 because they know that this is probably going to hit. So that's my lock of the week. Ally Cox, 3,100 at DraftKings, plus 100 tells you that they're expecting him to go over the number, but CYA, cover your own ass because we don't want to juice it up too much. Okay, so that's what it tells me, which is why I'm taking the over in the receiving yards at 19.5. My man is going to hit. I'm telling you right now. Jovan, I love to play the exactly. I'm telling Jovan, this is what, listen, again, I don't want to get long-winded because we're getting ready to roll, but I appreciate the hell out of everybody that tunes in, especially guys that I share the same space with. Me and Jovan have talked about this before, had him on the show. I forgot that Hunter Henry for the Patriots, I forgot that they played the Texans last week. And Hunter Henry had his best week yet as a New England Patriot. The reason why is because the Texans cannot cover the tight end. And again, I don't even have that in my notes, but Jovan checked in and he mentioned it and helped us all out. We all help each other, man. I love it. Jovan, thank you for throwing it in there because I completely forgot to put that down. Dante, we got to get, Dante, anytime, man. Anytime. I am primed. I'm poised. I'm ready. I'm back. I got the energy pumping again. Got a lot of good things. I got the Sixers. We got the half-court heat show popping off on Heat Razor Sports starting Sunday night. Okay. We got I got a solo show coming up. I won't get it out there yet, but it will be coming soon. Okay. And again, alternative edge, fancy firebox, you name it. Doing lots of things, man. I appreciate all the love from everybody on a Friday night checking in. Check these locks out. I'm going to go and we're going to kind of review real fast before we get out of here. We'll go backwards. Lock of the week, Ally Cox, plus 100 on DraftKings versus Houston. I go receiving yards over 19.5, minus 115. Listen, I'll tell you, there's a reason why it's a lock for me. I love that play. We're going to go Tim Patrick. We're going to go double over. Receiving yards, 50.5, and receptions over 4.5. Jamar Chase, receptions over 5.5, a plus money bet. Check it out. Jonathan Taylor, longest rush over 17.5. Taylor Heineke, the myth of Taylor Heineke in Washington. Pass plus rush over 27.5. Remember, Remember that number. Taylor Heineke, if you take what he's done, 40-plus yards the last 2 weeks, take that off that 287, that's 237. He has only been below 237 once since he's been the starting quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, over 0.5 interceptions, 6 picks in the last 4 games. And Austin Ekeler, the horse, going over 47.5 receiving yards, a number that he's already hit multiple times. As always, everybody, I am Tony Jigsaw Console. This is the Alternative Edge, and I shouldn't say completely, I greatly appreciate everybody for checking in. Again, follow the Sharp app. Go check it out, sharpbets.app, reference code 395. Use the coupon code HEAT. There's a lot of great personalities, a lot of great talent. I am just happy and blessed to be a part of such a great network of personalities and experts. I love doing what I do. I appreciate everybody always hanging in with me, always following in on the shows. And again, like I always say, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and we will catch you on the Alternative Edge next week.